Welcome to Uthran. When Uthran was created, the gods created man, elf, orc, beast, and land. Each race was created by their own god. These gods walked on the prime material plane and inhabited Uthran along with their creations. This time was known as the Dietis Age. As time went on, creations started to create their own ideas that grew into being, then power, and final into deities, liches, and patrons. Over time, a great divide was created between the gods and what are now called the Betrayer gods. An inevitable war broke out between the two factions. Champions were chosen by each side to pick up the fight. Many lives were lost with no end in sight. Legendary artifacts, now known as vestiges, were created by the gods and Betrayer gods. These vestiges were then bestowed to their champions that fought alongside of them during the Great Calamity. When the war was over, the Betrayer gods were banished to the Pandemonian Plain, where they are still to this day. At the end of the war, the gods looked upon Uthran and realized a place could not be sustainable for both them and their creations. It was at that point the gods removed themselves from Uthran, known as the Divergence, and thus ended the Dietis Age. The vestiges were left with the champions and spread throughout Uthran, but over time were lost to the history. As time went on, these items once fueled by power went dormant. This marked the beginning of the Sands Age. The Sands Age lasted for 2,412 years. During that time, tribes, towns, and territories were formed for themselves with the exception of the Dravenslag Empire. They were the first region to form that now exists in the current Tiadren Republic. Over time, many wars between races, battles between man, and dark times marked the Sands Age. Empires rose and fell. Those corrupted with power reigned for some time and then withered away to nothing for others to fill in. This went on for quite a while as the gods had their backs turned. 2,412 years after the calamity, the Tiadren Republic was born under a trade agreement between the Dravenslag Empire and Lady Ayas Tiadren. Fast forwarding to today, the year is 3,695 post-calamity and 1,283 year of the Republic. Two things helped Tiadren thrive as a republic. First off, in the skies, along with two suns that stretch the sky, Vins and Unak, a common sight would be airships, large vessels that crisscross the continent and even world. Second would be the message centers. A majority of the magic users are working in these centers, sending messages far over the world. It is because of these centers that peace is capable. The Tiadren Republic consists of 4 city-states and 11 regions, each with their own capital. What makes the Republic so strong is its trade across all regions. Each region has an economical value that no other region in the Republic can produce at such a major scale as the Mother region. Starting in the northwest with the region of Verithgrad and its capital of Wormsting. Comprised of 90% humans, 7% dwarves, and 3% mix of everything else, the people of Verithgrad have a strong work ethic. Due to the unique landscape of the steep cliff walls and flat tops, it creates a perfect location to produce the staple in the sky for the Republic, its airships. The airships is one of the unifying symbols that makes the Republic so strong. The continent stretches for thousands of miles, and without airships there would be a month, even years to travel alone from coast to coast. Nothing would ever get done. Moving just south and off the coast, and just on the edge of the Dauntless Sea sits the oldest region in the Republic and the only empire, Dravenslag, and its capital, the True Cradle. This kingdom of islands is not one to get on your bad side. Controlling nearly 100% of the iron trade, this empire of gnomes are full of miners, tinkerers, artificers, as well as a strong navy that patrols a majority of the continent's coastline. This empire of gnomes are on some of the forefronts of technology, recently inventing in the last 50 years a new ingredient called black powder, and shortly after weapons of all sorts that harness this new technology. The empire is always pleased and kept in good hands because of their contributions. Not much would be done. Now moving to the mountains just east of Earthgrad is the region of Arcane and its capital, Eleanor. Even before the calamity, large mysterious crystals sprang from the mountainsides. To this day, little is understood about the material, and nothing like it has been found anywhere else. Because of this feature, many schools of magic has called Eleanor home for both study and research. Eleanor is also the home for the Great Library of Tiadren, where just about anything can be found known to civilizations. However, it is not open to the public. One must be invited to study, just like any of the schools. Straight north is the region of Argandode and the capital city of Dulcevik. Argans are tough. You have to be with the conditions they live in. A region that primarily consists of the dwarven population know how to stay warm, and that is through blacksmithing and forging. Sure, the gnomes own the iron, but it isn't worth much unless you know what to do with it. All the capitals, towns, and trading posts all have their fair share of blacksmiths, but where do you think they all learn it from? Also, when it comes to fitting the Republic's army, how do they mass produce? Following the high road out of Argandode brings us to the largest region, Dornfels. Surprisingly, there is no capital for Dornfels, so it is lumped in with the Echo Land and share the capital of High Jasper. This region is also known as the breadbasket of the Republic, producing a majority of the agriculture, such as corn, wheat, barley, and other produce. The good soil, plenty of water sources, and flat land makes it perfect to feed a continent. Just on the east side of the Dormake Peaks is Dornfell's sister region, Sanctified Realm, and the capital, Radiance. The reason why it is known as the sister region is because it also dabbles in agriculture, but leans a little heavier on the livestock portion. Between the multiple mountain ranges that spread throughout the region, it causes a natural gathering of animals over the millennia. With that, farms began to pop up and harness the area for what it has to offer. Moving northward of the Fourfold Sea is the region of Solvik Woods and the capital of Clevehold. The region is primarily dominated in population by elves, and more specifically wood elves. It becomes a no-brainer that timber is the region's largest commodity. Airships would not be in the sky, ships would not sail the seas, and cities would not have been built without the region of Solvik Woods. Moving to the far south of the continent to the region and islands of Ishika and the capital port city, Port Nanzaru. Known as the Gateway of Uthrin, Port Nanzaru is a trading hub that one sees all trading and goods from the rest of the continents. Bahan, Pletris, Ian, and Sladeri. If you're looking for something specific, it will most likely be there. The port is located on the mysterious island of Chult. Creatures that cannot be found anywhere else in the world roam the jungles of Chult, large indigenous nations to the island as well as dinosaurs and other great beasts alike. Across the face of the sea from Chult is the region of Kathapali and the capital Karatha of all. The region is mostly known for their clay, stone, and coal deposits as well as their masonry skills. A long, sprawling coastal region also houses a few ports that bring in trade from the west side of Tiandren, as well as housing a revelry navy to the Dravenslag. Also, with the region being right next to the Dhaka, the folk of Kathapali are quite familiar to harsh desert conditions that are stirred up from time to time. On the east side of the Fourfold Sea lies the rich region of Coin Hills and the capital Set, nicknamed Wealth for All. Famous for their precious metal mines, Coin Hills is the home of the Bank of the Tiadren Republic. A majority of the Republic's wealth is kept here in one city. Some say there is no safer city in the world than Set. However, it does have its unforeseen downfalls. Last region on our Tiadren tour is the region of Quoth and its capital city Sabeth. On the coattails of Coin Hills, the mines of Quoth are very rich with gems, opals, and other valuable materials. The people of Quoth have also become excellent appraisers for such items as well as craftsmen for the jewelry art. Apart from the jewelry and gems being so close to the Crimson Palisade, Quoth have developed such an eye for cloths and other wearable materials. Apart from the 11 regions sits 4 city-states, cities so large that it would not be fair for a region to call its own. Rich with culture, these cities are large melting pots from all across the continent and even the world. These cities also tend to be diplomatic meeting places for the Republic from time to time as a neutral space. Just a short airship ride north of Sabeth is the city-state of Crimson Palisade. One cannot find more color in the world than behind these walls. The city is known for their selection of dyes, and everyone across the world wants to get their hands on them. Moving across the continent is the city-state of Udagar. The newest city and city-state in the Republic, Udagar sits over the only known entrance to the Underdark. 200 years ago, the Drow, Duro, Verfevlin, and Urag began migrating their way to the surface, running from whatever was down there. In just a few decades, the city grew larger and larger, as well as other citizens from the continent started to flock to the city as well, bringing us to today, a diverse city-state that has a magic spell to keep it in the constant dark. On the coast of the Fourfold Sea sits the city-state of Karosa. Any and every major temple is housed in the city. It sits close to the Daka as well, which was the final battle during the Calamity. Many gods ascended after the battle and many temples popped up shortly after. Moving all the way to the far northeast, there is an island with a city-state of Shining Castle. Despite the name, there is not a Shining Castle. However, they say you might receive one. Home of the Bard colleges, one can find entertainment, the arts, writers, as well as gambling in the city. Other noteworthy places that can be found in Tiadren: the Thousand Eyes, treacherous waters full of pirates, thousands of islands, and unfathomable creatures. If you were wondering why the large navy presence, here's your answer. Mentioned before was the Daka. It was the site of the final battle during the Great Calamity. This large desert is rarely explored because of the dangers that lie in the sands, from purple worms to large udaks. However, there exists one water hole in the middle of the desert called True Walu, a town that has been heard of many but seen by almost none. There is no airship landing pads remotely close to the city, and so the only way there is to walk through the Daka. Because of this, the city is filled up by outcasts, fugitives, and other people that don't want to be found. It has the nickname the City of Beasts. Minotaurs, lizardfolks, Goliaths, Warforged, Dragonborns, and other races that are a rare sight in the capitals and city-states are a majority of the population, with less than 5% being elves, human, and dwarves. Last stop on the tour is in the west called Sea of Clouds. Giants lived up here in the mountains. You leave them alone and they'll leave us alone. Just in case they don't, the Republic has placed forts around the area to guard everyone who comes down. Also scattered across the continent are many forts, ruins, dungeons from past history, civilizations, evil liches, and more, as well as the creatures and beasts that stand in your way. So what are you waiting for? Adventure awaits you, young travelers of Tiadren.